Welcome to Honeybee. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. When my wife of 7 years accused me of something I never did and demanded an apology I didn't owe, it finally hit me. I couldn't keep bending just to keep her satisfied. Our marriage had been unraveling slowly, almost invisibly, like an old photograph losing its color under the sun. But this was a final crack that shattered everything. My name is Jeff. We got married in our late 20s, full of hope and ready to build a future side by side. The early years weren't perfect, but they were good. We went through the usual adjustments every couple faces, sharing space, learning each other's rhythms, making decisions together. Somewhere around the 4th or 5th year, though, something shifted. The warmth between us cooled. Conversations turned mechanical, limited to chores, bills, and schedules. The sweet gestures that once came naturally faded away, first little by little, then completely. We stopped enjoying the things we once did together. Petty arguments became more frequent, each one leaving behind traces of bitterness. Kelly's voice grew sharper, her words carrying a coldness I hadn't heard before. Disrespect started showing up in ways that were hard to ignore. I had a stable job with good benefits. My routine was the same most days, out early, home around 6:30 p.m. I paid the mortgage, maintained our savings, and kept us in a comfortable middle-class life. Kelly, on the other hand, worked part-time as an administrative assistant at a medical office. She'd chosen fewer hours after our wedding, saying she wanted a less stressful schedule. I supported that decision. Her income mostly covered her personal needs and a portion of household expenses, while I shouldered the majority of the financial load. But over time, our marriage stopped feeling like a partnership. It became a quiet battle of control. Kelly began testing me emotionally. That's the only way I can describe it. If I forgot something small or made plans without asking, she'd give me the silent treatment. She withheld affection as punishment, creating tension until I apologized. I got used to giving in because it was easier than enduring days of cold silence. I told myself I was picking my battles, being the bigger person. What I didn't realize was that I was training her to believe manipulation worked. Everything came to a head on a Tuesday night in late September. I'd stayed late at the office, finishing a project timeline. Permits had been delayed, and I didn't leave until close to 8. When I finally walked through the door, I could sense the tension immediately. I set my things down and went to take a shower. While I was still in the bathroom, my phone rang. I rushed out, but Kelly was already standing in the bedroom, holding it. Her face was hard, her tone icy. She demanded to know why Samantha was calling me after hours. I froze for a second. Samantha worked in accounting, payroll, and expenses. We spoke often about work, but never anything personal. I explained calmly that she was probably calling about payroll issues. Just work, nothing more. But Kelly didn't want to hear it. She pointed out the time past 9 and insisted no normal coworker would call that late without another reason. I was drained from the day, too tired to argue. I explained that Samantha was likely just working late to close out reports. I offered to call her back on speaker, so Kelly could hear for herself. But Kelly seized on my tired tone. She accused me of talking down to her, of disrespecting her. Then she gave me an ultimatum. Sleep on the couch until I apologized for letting another woman call me late at night. I stood there speechless. Part of me knew I could de-escalate, apologize for my tone, reassure her again, promise to be more careful. That would have been the old pattern. But another part of me, the one that had slowly been waking up, recognized the truth. I hadn't done anything wrong. A co-worker had called about work. I'd explained it clearly. My tone wasn't cruel, it was tired. And yet here I was punished for nothing. So I gave her a simple answer. If that's what she wanted, I'd sleep on the couch. Her face flickered with surprise. She expected a fight or an apology. Instead, I grabbed a pillow and blanket, walked down the hall, and settled in the unused guest room. The guest room was dusty and quiet, a forgotten corner of our house. But over the next few days, my quiet acceptance unsettled her more than any argument could. She tried to make me uncomfortable, turning off the Wi-Fi at night, refusing to cook, ignoring me completely. I didn't react. I left early in the mornings, grabbed breakfast on the way to work, ate lunch out, picked up dinner for myself. I slept in the guest room calmly. She threw sarcastic comments when we crossed paths. "Enjoying your little man cave?" she'd sneer. I responded politely, never taking the bait. Something was shifting inside me. I began to see the patterns I'd buried for years. The way she used silence as punishment, the endless emotional tests, the way peace only existed if I submitted. And I realized I hadn't truly been happy for a long time. After a week, I decided to make the guest room mine. I cleaned it out, moved my clothes, books, laptop, even set up my old gaming monitor. I brought in a coffee maker and a small fridge, hung the navy curtains she once vetoed. Slowly, the space transformed into something peaceful and personal. I started sleeping better, eating in silence, existing without tension. And Kelly noticed. Her irritation grew. Doors slammed louder, words cut sharper. She accused me of being childish, of enjoying my little vacation. But the truth was, she wasn't wrong. I was happier. For the first time in years, I wasn't walking on eggshells. By the third week, her frustration boiled over. She had expected my discomfort to bring me crawling back. Instead, I seemed fine. One night, she confronted me in the kitchen, demanding to know if I really planned to keep living this way. I told her calmly that peace had to be mutual, not one-sided. Her response was anger, accusations, guilt trips, reminders of vows. But my mind had already detached. Not overnight, but gradually over these weeks, I'd emotionally checked out. One afternoon, I took a long lunch break and visited a family lawyer. I explained our situation. 7 years of marriage, no kids, shared assets, years of control and emotional games. I told him I wanted a divorce. He listened carefully, explained the process, the paperwork, the division of property. I agreed to everything. A week later, I signed the documents. A few days after that, on a quiet Tuesday night, I laid the divorce papers on the dining table along with a simple note in my handwriting. I'm not angry. I'm just tired of living like a guest in my own home. When Kelly got home and saw the papers, she stormed into the guest room, shock and rage on her face. She demanded to know if I was serious. I told her yes, I was. She thought this was still a game, another fight I'd eventually lose. But this wasn't about a single phone call. This was about years of control and exhaustion. She tried every tactic: denial, guilt, anger, threats. She talked about the house, money, lawyers. But none of it mattered to me anymore. I just wanted peace. Eventually, her tone softened. She knocked one night, asking if we could try counseling. I reminded her I'd suggested that for years. She had always dismissed me. It was too late now. The divorce process moved forward. She hired an aggressive lawyer. I offered a 50-50 split, house sold, assets divided equally. I didn't want a battle, just closure. Months passed with legal back and forth. The house sold. Accounts were separated. Furniture divided. By the end, everything was settled cleanly. And as I watched the final pieces fall into place, I realized something quietly powerful. I hadn't just left a marriage. I had reclaimed my peace.